Today on A Hit of Health.
That grain-free diets are actually linked to heart issues.
If you ever have questions, ask your vet. A lot of them are nice enough where they answer a phone call where you don't need to pay for an exam.
It's called 5 Freedoms.
And this is what the basis that we like to look at to see a healthy and happy pet. There's things as positive punishment, positive reinforcement, negative punishment, and negative reinforcement.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live. Blast off. What's up, Danny?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. Sitting in my my bedroom / studio, feeling like a real amateur. I gotta tell you, but I'm excited to talk to you about our raising a healthy pet.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for it.
So obviously, kind of just like we talked about, just for the little context for the listening audience, Danny and I are old friends. Went to high school together, and have been friends for a long time. And Danny is an animal specialist, working on achieving all the final little checked lines for his ability to do whatever needs to be done under full regulation. But frankly, Danny, I don't understand it. I don't know why you're not just you're just out there. Why don't you fill in the gaps for me so I stop sounding like an idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about?
Hey, everyone. This is Dr. Danny Gilespie here. Basically, I know, that's still funny to hear, right?
Yeah.
I'm still not used to it.
I thought it was going to be right fielder Danny Gilespie for a long time.
Right. So basically, I graduated vet school last year. I went to a school called St. Matthew's Vet School down in the Cayman Islands. Did book work down there, and then did my clinical work at Mississippi State. And now currently work at a clinic in Pensacola, Florida called Davis Animal Hospital.
Nice.
And I've been there for about 6 months now.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's busy with all this craziness going around now.
Is it? Why? Are people nervous about their dogs?
It's like the busiest that we've ever been.
Why?
At least
what's
since
up
I've
with
been
that?
there. I think it's more of everybody's home right now instead of being at work. So, they're kind of, I think they're more noticing their pets than do at work. I'm not saying that they don't notice but now they're just always around their pet. So,
Right.
If they have they actually see something that's going on. It's like, oh, I need to take this, animal to the vet, or the fact that they are home and they actually have time to take their animal to us now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, everybody's adopting. I've seen more puppies in the past 3-4 weeks than I have. It's fun because I got to play with a whole lot of puppies, kittens, but
Yeah.
It's craziness right now.
Wow. So how freaky is that? People are bored and adopting animals. What happens when they go back to work? Back to the damn shelter?
No, I'm hoping not. You can
Right.
only hope for the best. I mean, most of the puppies that we see are, you got a lot of rescues as well, obviously, but the ones we've seen lately are, full bred puppies. So they're ones that you wouldn't think that they would
breeder.
give back. So, it's great that the, shelters and rescues are getting rid of all their animals. You can only hope for the best that at home they take care of them and keep them. It's kind of why we're talking today.
Right.
Raising a pet 101.
Right. I mean,
basics.
Honestly, I don't know, if it's common for people to, buy a pet without reading a book or talking to a vet. I mean, frankly, a month into a coronavirus pandemic, buying an animal seems borderline impulsive to me. So, in fact, it seems pretty relevant. So hopefully this can make its way around, because I think the last thing we need is a bunch of impulsive animal buyers out there doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, it's nothing on them. It's just they just don't know. Some of them haven't had pets. We've got a lot of them, and they just don't know. And nothing bad on them at all. They just
Well,
need the
like,
knowledge.
where would
That's why you come talk to us.
is that what you would recommend? Is to start by talking to your vet about how to take care of an animal?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, talk to the pros. But it's funny. It's interesting. You know, I wonder. I mean, a breeder, I guess, probably knows. You know.
Yeah, they know. They know a good amount.
Yeah.
Some about raising. They don't know a whole lot on the medicine part.
Right. Well, that's
which is the thing. We get and the thing is, a lot of breeders, so not a lot of them. Some of them give false knowledge, and it's just what they've been told, and which then the pet comes to us, and we have to too upset because they're like, well, this person told us this, and we're like, sorry, that's actually wrong.
like, what would that be,
But
Danny?
they do have a lot of knowledge, though.
Yeah, but they're not medical professionals. I mean, what
Right.
would what would be like a common misconception that you see people think that actually is not true?
I'd say, it's kind of going into one of our topics. Myths out there. Honestly, a lot of them is diet work. We got a lot of them now, telling them, this certain breed needs to have this. Well, that's not really true. The diets are mainly toward, you have basically what you have is 3 different type of diets, main general groups. You have for puppies, you have for adults, and metric. And then obviously there's millions of different type of diets, different types of proteins, different types of vegetables, grains, and all this. And that's actually another big thing. Especially it's a new thing. A lot of people are pushing with this. I don't know what you call it. More, trying to go to the essential oils. Trying to do everything herbal essence, and that pushes this grain-free diet. The only positive I've seen in a grain-free diet right now is for skin. If your dog has skin problems, that can help, but there's so many other better diets that help. It's a big common myth that my dog needs to be on grain-free. It's healthier for him. Well, actually, now they're having a whole lot of research, and I'm hoping the FDA comes out with it soon, that grain-free diets are actually linked to heart issues. Specifically for a dog, what's called DCM, dilated cardiomyopathy. In my personal experience, as I said, I've only been out of school for less than a year now, but I went through school, and I've seen at least probably 2 or 3 that I've seen heart problems on. The dog came in, had heart problems, anesthesia, and had heart problem, and they actually had find out in the history that they had a grain-free diet. So, I mean, yes, definitely it could be coincidence, but there's been a whole lot of research coming out now, and I can go tell you, most of the veterinarians will tell you your dog needs grain.
Right. In case people weren't following that, the dog needs grain. Grain-free food, that is not the answer. And I mean, even on TV, Danny, I feel like I see so many ads on TV, and I don't ever see them advertise grains in an animal's dog food. It's always a fish or a freaking whatever from the woods. I mean, it's like a deer or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, God, that's just crazy. That, but just like people, right? It's like,
Right.
And you talk about meat and protein, they can probably charge higher. It's obviously, whatever the hell the reason is. I couldn't tell you why a 5-pound bag of rice is more cheaper than a town steak. I don't know. Maybe because there's less of it. I don't know. But I don't really believe that either. So
And you brought up a good point. There's a lot of TV, there's a lot of ads on everywhere. If you ever have questions, ask your vet. A lot of them are nice enough where they answer a phone call where you don't need to pay for an exam. You'll. I know you're supposed to bring in your dog at least once a year for vaccines, yearly vaccines or something like that. Ask them then if you have questions. You see something on TV, because not everything they post on TV is. I wouldn't say it's definitely not unhealthy, but it's not the best.
Right.
And it's certainly, you could get it. You could probably find something better for cheaper if that's what you're looking at, the financial aspect of it, or if just overall health is something. Said there is better stuff on there. For instance, food brands. Talking about diet and food.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw any brands under the bus right now. It's not really professional, but I will go ahead and say there are a couple that I can tell you that most the top Royal Canine, Hills, and now I'm going brain dead. Pedigree.
The vets do recommend those.
Yes. So, yes.
Yeah. Hills
Those
Pet
are
Nutrition.
the top 4 brands. Those have the reason we trust those. It's because those specific companies have licensed veterinarians working for them.
Danny,
where actually there is a lot of these companies advertise dog food that have dog food that actually don't have licensed veterinarian, and more importantly, a licensed veterinary nutritionist. And it's not like they're bad brands, but we can't really, stand 100% behind them if they don't, an actual nutritionist, somebody with a degree knows what they're doing to go into this.
Danny, what were those 4 brands again?
So we got IAMS.
Yep.
Hills. Pedigree.
And
so for each one of those, there is
Hills,
a
Pedigree.
bunch of.
What was the last one?
Excuse me?
IAMS, Hills, Pedigree, and what else?
It's cool. Royal.
Royal.
Canine.
Okay. Good deal.
So each one of those companies, they have all different types of food through each one. Pedigree is one of the bigger ones that you'll find at any of your pet stores, any of your superstores, Walmarts, whatever. Like if you heard Purina One, that's from Pedigree. Mm-hmm. So you have to actually look at the details of each one. They absolutely have fattening foods that work for them too. Absolutely. They also have cheap foods that work for them. Absolutely. But you got to look actually in the details, just kind of like if you're trying to be healthy yourself. What's actually in it. How much protein is in it, how much and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what are you looking for? What's the sweet spot?
What are you talking about for nutrition?
Yeah. Something the dog can have twice a day, for the rest of its life or whatever.
So
well, the
your
first stages. But.
general is what you want is for a dog to eat twice a day. How much? That obviously depends on the dog.
Mm-hmm.
It also depends on it depends on the age of the dog. Mm-hmm. Depends on the activity of the dog. And, all the dog intakes. And just the overall health of the dog. You have dogs that are overweight. Well, they need to be taking less calories or kilocalories if you look on the back of a bag or a can than what they should be taking. You could either decrease the amount, you could try different things, or you need to just try a new diet, or some of those diets actually you feed more just because the kilocalories are less, but that diet makes them lose weight.
Yeah. Guys, so similar to humans, huh? I mean, the calories versus
So
calories burned,
You can figure it out all on yourself. Absolutely. There's intelligent people out there. If you have any questions, the best thing to do, give us a call. We'll be happy to answer whatever you want.
Right.
That's why we're here.
Right, right, exactly. And it's so cool to know that from you, there are vets who are open to taking a phone call and not charging, you know, $500 a minute.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
you can do the research on your own, but don't, just like everybody says, especially especially older people, don't always read what's on the internet and think it's correct.
Right. A lot of
We
information
have
on the internet.
one of the biggest quotes we have is what we call Dr. Google,
Right. Right.
where we have people saying, we found this online. It's like, well, not everything you read online is correct.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And then I guess with nutrition, we're talking about having a healthy pet, maximizing the life of your dog or cat.
Correct.
I think dog is when we talk about walking a dog. So we have the food nailed down. We've talked to the vet. Based on the dog's size, age, breed. Is there general outlines for exercising? I mean, once a day, 3 times a day. What's too much? What's too little?
No, there's not general. Um, More the better, unless it's, hurt. We actually have a surgeon works at our clinic, a board certified surgeon. And he does a whole lot of what we call TPLOs. It's basically ACL tears. CCL in a dog is the same thing as our ACL. So he does those all the time. And, right off the bat, we can't have those dogs, walking around or running around after surgery. Well, that's basically any surgery. But to answer your question, general rules, there's no actual guidelines to it. Let the dog be the dog. They do need to get out. They do need to run. They do need to play. That's their natural canine. That brings me to a point. There's actually what it's called 5 freedoms. And it's, you learn this a whole lot in behavior. And it's basically what it is. The 5 freedoms not only goes for dogs, but they go for, and this is what the basis that we like to look at to see a healthy and happy pet. This goes wise, this goes for behavior wise. And the 5 basic freedoms that we look for is 1, it's called freedom of hunger, which is kind of self-explanatory. The second one is freedom from, so, is it in pain? And that's actually technically number 3. Number 3 is freedom from pain, injury, which is more straightforward. Is your dog in pain? Is your cow in pain? Does your cow have a disease? These are the main things that we look. The fourth one is freedom from fear and distress. That's a whole lot of behavior. Is the dog not being treated well? Is it cowarding every time it, scared of something that you should be trying to fix? Is it distressed every time you leave the house? It goes the very opposite. You have owners that aren't nice to their dogs, but you also have owners that love their dogs. And then when the dog has what we call separation anxiety. And then that's another, but that falls into this category. And then the very last thing, the last freedom is freedom to express normal behavior. So this is basically goes back to the roots of every species. We keep bringing, but I'm going to go ahead and bring up the dog again, because that's what we keep bringing up. Is the dog able to, it chews on? That's the norm. They chew. So toys, bones, food, obviously. They play. Does it have someone to play with? Does it go outside and play on by itself? Does it play with its owner? Does it sleep? Does it sleep comfortably? And when it comes to cats, cats like to play too. A lot of cats are natural. Dogs themselves, they're the canines. They fall into the same species as wolves. So they're known, and they're known in the past to be, they like to be social. That being said, you have a lot of, especially small breeds dogs that hate every other dog and love humans. There's no black and white. There's always gray area, but these are the main 5 freedoms that we look at when we just talk about the basics.
So fear, pain, anxiety, and normal behavior. And what am I missing there?
So we've got hunger and thirst. That's 1.
Yes. Right.
Discomfort is 2. 3 is pain, injury, disease. That's all in 1. Then fear is 4. Normal behavior is 5.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. What a nice, kind of concise checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then, you know what? Actually, what's so funny is, God, just bam, 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 right into that. Kind of talks about, how to train the dog. I mean, you don't want it.
Right.
You want it, especially the freedom of normal behavior.
Right.
How do you make sure that they're able to express that without being a wild animal? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And like I said, not everything's black and white, and there's no one right way to train your animal.
Sure.
There's no one right way.
Okay.
They're dogs. They're all different.
Okay.
It's just like human. What works for me is not going to work this.
Sure. Sure, like a learning style almost.
The main things about training animals. So that goes more into, and a lot of people know this. We have, positive and negatives, and we like to use a lot of positive reinforcement. So we don't, when it does something, give it a treat. We don't like to use much negative reinforcement. And we definitely don't. We don't like to beat our dogs.
In case you didn't know.
Yes, that works. Absolutely. If it does something bad, and I'm not necessarily saying beating, that's 0 to 10.
Right.
But any kind of punishment, we don't want any kind of positive punishment. So, in a nutshell, we don't. There's things as positive punishment, positive reinforcement, negative punishment, and negative reinforcement.
Right.
What we like to do when training is in positive reinforcement. In short terms, or examples of those, say your dog does something good, you give it a treat. That's positive reinforcement. Negative punishment is the other side that we like to strive for. Not positive punishment. If it does something bad, say it's potty. You have a puppy that goes inside. Positive punishment would be throwing it in its cage. Negative punishment is taking away something that it likes. So maybe it's chewing on a bone and then goes and urinates in the corner. Well, take that bone away and don't give it till it kind of like taking away something good. You don't treat. You don't get this bone for doing something bad. That we try to training a dog. Now, yes, there's many little details, and everybody's got their own way of behaviors that teach you how to train. There's trainers out there. At most pet stores, you can take your animal to go get it trained. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. So there's no one right way. But like I said before, if you don't know, always ask.
Right.
There are people that do know.
Right. And that's sort of the overarching thing here, right? Which was another thing we had talking about, which was sort of describing the relationship with your vet. And
Right.
In case it wasn't made clear yet, it's sort of, in my opinion, when in doubt, call the vet.
Right.
I mean, it's like it almost the more vet, the better.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, it's interesting. It's not that complicated, but I feel like there are misconceptions, like beating your dog. No, don't beat the dog. If it does something wrong, remove. And I think that the positive negative part is interesting, is almost like a give and a take. You give the reward, or you take away the reward. You don't give punishment for a punishment. You take away rewards for punishment.
Right.
And which is even still sort of success oriented. It's like earn it back. It's funny. So a dog gets that though, huh? If I take that bone away, he's gonna understand that his previous behavior is the reason for that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, given more ADD than I am, I'll tell you, I'm pretty ADD.
Me too.
They might not know it on the first. They might not know it on. It might take a minute. Nothing happens on the first try.
Right.
Especially kittens as well, whatever species. But yeah, they definitely understand it over a while, and there are some breeds that pick it up quicker than others. Just there's been some intelligence per breed.
Yeah.
2 labs next to each other, one could be a whole lot smarter than the other.
Right.
Just like humans.
Right.
One could pick it up like this, one could not pick it up. For instance, I trained my dog pretty well. She knows all the tricks in the book. I was lucky. I think she got one of the smart genes. She knows how to play dead. Nice. And she picked that up within a week. There's most dogs that can't do that if you train them their whole lifetime.
Right.
So it all just, like I said, nothing's black and white. There's always gray. But yes, they definitely understand.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's so cool, man. Well, I mean that's a pretty good outline, to be honest. That seems like a pretty good 101 to me.
Yeah.
Talk to your vet about what to feed your dog.
Right.
And do that.
Keep them healthy. Keep them lean.
Right.
Right. There's a lot of overweight animals, just like there's a lot of overweight people.
Right.
And that comes with medical conditions. When you have large breed dogs, you have what's the number one condition is usually their hips. They have hip problems when they start getting older.
Right.
And then you have little breed dogs, especially they get back problems. That being said, they could get either one of these could get hip or back problems being skinny at weight, putting more stress on these joints and on these bones. So, absolutely.
Yeah. Consistency.
Watch their diet just like you try to watch yours.
Yeah. Yep. All right, man. Well, that's awesome. That's I don't know. I think that seems pretty good to me. Any last thoughts?
No, not at all.
All right. Well, when in doubt, call the vet.
Treat your pets right.
Dang it. How can people call you if they want to?
That's the number one thing we try. That's our biggest problem is not getting the knowledge out to the owners. One, because we just don't know how. Two, the owners don't want to receive it. Knowledge is everything. So
talk to your vet.
There you go.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you so much.
No problem, buddy.
See you, Danny.